Hi Virgo, this is your monthly reading for the month of May for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Please keep in mind that this is a general reading and this is not going to resonate for every single Virgo out there. Alright, you guys, let's get started. What is happening for my Virgos for the month of May? We have Justice, the Moon, the Nine of Swords, the Hanged Man, the Nine of Wands, the Sun, and the King of Coins. And then we have the Five of Swords. Okay, Virgo, for the month of May, I'm kind of getting, it's almost like this sense of, it's like a sense of anger, kind of, but it's more, it almost feels like I'm not necessarily you want to punish someone, but there's something that you know that there were lies, there was some type of deceit, there was something that left a lot of my Virgos torn inside. And I'm getting this sense that it has this gut-wrenching feeling in your stomach for some of you. And it's like it makes you weak at your knees. There's something here that makes you guys feel powerless. And it's like it upsets you, it makes you angry, it makes you wish that this person would learn their lesson or that they would get their karma, or and I'm not getting that it's like necessarily super ill intent, like you're wishing harm on this person necessarily, but there's still this sense of I just wish at least this person would know how it felt or what it's like to be me. Like there's something here where you feel like you were seen in a bad light, or that this person overstepped your boundaries. There's something here where you feel like you've been taken advantage of. But you're so caught up in that it's almost like you're not seeing how that even occurred in the first place. Like how you even got there. Because I'm getting this feeling that for a lot of you guys, it's like I'm getting this sense that you try to maybe push people away without realizing it. It's like a subconscious thing that you're not picking up on. And I feel like that's why that Hanged Man is in the reverse. And it's in the center of the spread, because it's like it's almost like you're kind of cloaking it in a way where you're not paying attention to it, but it's gonna start to come to the light. Because I feel like for a lot of you guys, you were once not able to see it, and maybe that's what's keeping you guys still a little stuck or making you feel like you can't move forward, is because it's like there's this facade that you don't realize that perhaps you put on, Virgo, where you might feel like you need to scare people off, or that you feel like you need to put up some type of a front that you are strong and that you can handle life and handle the situations. It's like maybe you have a hard time really receiving, and so you kind of push people away. But what I'm getting is once you come to that realization that you don't have to push people away, and once you work on receiving, because I feel like for a lot of my Virgos, you have a really hard time receiving from others, or even receiving criticism, or receiving some kind of anything that can be perceived as negative. Maybe a lot of you guys are very sensitive, so you have a really hard time internalizing that. And it's only because you were kind of taught, like at a young age, maybe you were really sensitive, and maybe people would say, oh, don't pick on Virgo, they're sensitive, and they would maybe tease you or something, you know what I mean? Like there's something here where it's like a childhood wound that you get defensive because that's the only way you knew how to protect yourself. But you don't need to you don't have to protect yourself when, and it's like you only feel like you have to protect yourself because you feel like it's a threat, but is it really a threat? Because I feel like some of you guys have experienced some form of like your nervous system is overly stimulated. And so if you've ever heard of the fight or flight response, some of you guys are kind of in that fight or flight response mode. And so everything is like you're hyper vigilant, or you're just afraid of letting people see certain aspects of you. So it's really interesting because it's like you're walking around trying to protect yourself, but all you're doing is just pushing people away. Like you're repelling people further away from you. But once you start grounding into that understanding and being more open to receive, then that's when abundance is going to come to you. Because I feel like a lot of you guys give a lot and you share a lot of your resources or your finances, or you've done stuff for people, but you've never really seen the returns. And it's because you don't really know how to receive or accept it. I'm also getting here with that Five of Swords. It's like you guys are learning here, Virgo, to kind of let go. Letting go of this pain. Because I feel like you're getting stuck on what this person has said or done, or what these people have done to you. And it's like you need to learn to cut out that toxicity, and realizing that, yes, especially because I feel like this was a lover that has betrayed you in some capacity, but this goes deeper than that. This is something that's happened since a childhood, and I feel like for a lot of you guys, it's just impact your love life, because the way you respond with people, you kind of come at it maybe in a more defensive way, and sometimes the Page of Wands can come off very blunt or very quick to act without thinking, and it's just like sometimes I think that that's just what you were taught. So learning to use discernment, learning to really focus on yourself more, and understanding, okay, well, if somebody triggers me, then it's because I hold that belief inside of myself, and learning to work through that. Because I feel like for a lot of you guys, you're kind of at this moment in your life where for some of you, it's like you're just, like you've been aware of people and circumstances, and I'm just getting that there's a sense of irritation, like irritability, like having a hard time just staying still in some way, because it frustrates you. It frustrates you because you feel trapped. And you don't know how to get out of it, but you try to... It's like you're trying to seek out that knowledge, but you feel like you don't have a support network for yourself. So I feel like for a lot of you guys growing up, you never truly felt that support, that loving that loving nature that you always wanted. And I'm getting that that's something that has kind of impacted you. So let's get some clarifiers here. Man, this is a tough one, because this is like dealing with the root core of why some of you guys feel like you have always gotten cheated out of a relationship. And I feel like the reason why you're always getting screwed over, or you always just feel like you're never coming, you never find a good partner or something, is because I think as a child, some of you could have felt ignored, or you could have just felt like you were unseen or unheard, that your wants and needs were not important. And you were taught at a young age to follow. It's almost like, for some of you, I'm kind of getting this sense that you could have just had a childhood that was very cold. You just didn't feel safe. You didn't feel nurtured. You didn't feel loved. You felt like everything was a competition. You know, because maybe in your household it was. Maybe you had to compete for your parents' love and approval. There's something here where you feel like you needed to be the best in order to be loved. And that's just not true, Virgo. And that's what was the burden for you, is you give all your love and people around you just don't give back the way you do. And it's because you give too much of yourself to people that don't deserve it. And I feel like it's because you were taught at a young age to give a lot to yourself, to sacrifice a lot in order to make people happy. Like your parents expected you to. It's almost like you were dealing with parents that didn't allow you to really be a child, that you felt like you had to be there for them. It's almost like some of you had to parent your own parents. And it's difficult because it's like growing up, that's all you've experienced in your household, and you feel like you've never been able to be yourself or really been able to grow in your own way. And so for a lot of you guys, when you get into new relationships, it's like you associate fixing someone as loving someone, when in reality, you can't fix anybody, and that's not love. Trying to say, oh, I can fix him, that's not love. And I think that that might make some people mad. But I think I have to say that because honestly, this is what I'm getting. Some of you guys, you fix people and you think that fixing them is showing love. But really, in actuality, all you're doing is trying to fix them. But it's like you're trying to fix yourself by fixing them. But they don't want to be fixed. And if they do want to be fixed, they're going to do it on their own time and on their own dime. But they're not going to do it for you because... you know what I mean? Like, people don't want to change necessarily for other people unless they choose to. And I feel like you could have been your mother or father's therapist. There's something here, though, where you felt like you were responsible for somebody else. And I feel like you felt like you were responsible for a parent. So you feel like you're responsible for your spouse or for your boyfriends and girlfriends or people in your life. You feel responsible for them, but you're not. They're their own person. And I feel like you need to acknowledge that and realize that you're responsible for yourself. And I feel like that's kind of what happens here, is you're always in this conflict with yourself and other people, because for some of you, maybe you feel like you need to control people, or you want to make sure that people are okay. I'm also just getting as well, too, is that you deal with people that are toxic. Because if you're in that mentality of, oh, I need to fix people, then generally it's somebody that's not, that could be more narcissistic, or that could be having more, like, mental problems. And I'm just getting that you fall into that, you can fall into that trap of wanting to help somebody that isn't ready to heal. And that could be very detrimental to your own health here. And that's kind of what I'm getting. For a lot of you guys, you have a hard time walking away from this emotionally because you've invested a lot into this, and you have this fear of missing out on something, or like the lack mentality of, well, if I lose this person, then what if I don't get another person, or what if I get somebody worse? It's like you're afraid of really going out and experiencing other things, Virgo, because there's this part of you that feels like you need to hold on to what you have. And it feels like a burden on you. And it's like you keep carrying around this burden like it's a responsibility. But you're not. It's not a responsibility that you need to take on. I feel like for a lot of you guys, you were taught to wait. You were taught to be there for people. You were taught to hold off on your wants, hold off on your needs, put others in front of you. And because of that, it was like you shut down parts of your desire, parts of who you are, what makes you happy. I feel like for a while, like you need to start, what you need to do in order to start regaining that happiness in yourself is I feel like you need to start focusing here on what makes you happy and start doing stuff that's fun again. If you like painting or doing stuff that's creative, because I feel like for a lot of you guys, you need to put in the work that's going to make you happy. I feel like you live for other people because you were taught to. And I think that for a lot of you guys, you're waking up to, not everybody is going to be truthful and not everybody is going to lie. But at the same time, I need to use my discernment. I need to be understanding that just because somebody leaves me doesn't mean that I'm broken, doesn't mean that I'm bad, doesn't mean that I'm not lovable. And that's really what I'm getting here for my Virgos, because I feel like a lot of you guys, you suffer from abandonment issues because of some type of parental figure or some type of issue in your childhood that has caused a lot of you guys to feel like you needed to do that. And I feel like, you need to trust your intuition, trust insight, awareness, and guidance. Because I feel like you guys are aware that that maybe you have some intimacy problems or really getting close to people, because I feel like whatever this was, this left you feeling kind of like the connections were severed. You had a hard time trusting people. If you couldn't trust your parents, how can you trust someone else? And that's what I'm getting here, is like you felt like you were betrayed or hurt by the people closest to you. So this is a deep core wound that I'm hitting. So I feel like this is a very sensitive topic. And I'm not trying to strike a nerve with anybody, but I feel like this is something that needed to be talked about and needed to be worked on and healed. Is something inside your sacral that really needs to be looked at and examined. Check out all your chakras, figure out how can you heal yourself. It's okay to be over emotional. It's okay to be a little crazy at times. We need to integrate those shadow aspects of ourselves in order to really heal and in order to really accept that within ourselves so that we can accept that within others as well. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, we have here forgiveness, letting go, healing, growth, and compassion. Forgiveness is a huge key factor for you guys. And I feel like this is going to take some time. This is a process. But I feel like in the month of May, a lot of my Virgos are going to start this healing process with whatever this specific topic is. And I feel like we have here that personal boundaries, choices, assertiveness, empowerment, and authenticity. I feel like a lot of you guys were not really allowed to have your own boundaries or to really have your own space. And you were taught that that was not okay. And so I feel like a lot of you guys are not aware of what you can and cannot have, Virgo. And so I feel like you've always kind of just allowed people to maybe overstep your boundaries, not being aware that you deserve to have boundaries, that you deserve to be loved, that you deserve to be seen, that you deserve to be treated with respect. So I feel like a lot of you guys are learning more about yourself and starting to gain back more of that empowerment. And that's what I'm really getting. It's like, and being I want to just say this. Being a victim isn't bad, And playing a victim isn't bad necessarily, because I think about it like this, because I'm getting the sense for some of you guys, you're stuck in the victim mentality, but I'm going to explain why that happens. You're not a bad person for playing a victim or for having these negative attributes. We all do. But what I'm getting here is you play the victim because when you're a child, you are a victim to your circumstances, to what has happened in your environment. Sometimes we get put in situations that we can't get ourselves out of because we're small, we're vulnerable, and we're not all the way mentally developed, but we're emotionally developing. So we start to feel things more. So because of that, we are associated with our environment and those around us, and we take everything in as self. And so when we feel powerless within ourself. And so we walk around feeling powerless, giving it away to external circumstances and to people and places. And that's how, as all the way up till we get into adulthood, we are carrying out that victim mentality. And it's because you were a victim, but now as an adult, and now the fact that it is no longer there, it is now in the past, and you're now more in the present moment, you can now heal that. So for people who, when they have a victim mentality about a story or about an event, I give compassion because I understand that I go through it as well. I still find parts of myself that I feel like I've given away that power. And it's having to integrate that back into our life and having to accept that within ourselves and saying, you know what, even though this has happened to me, and even though I feel like I have a hard time accepting who I am and putting in a boundary, because sometimes it feels unsafe to have boundaries because we were taught that it wasn't okay. And so we have to reprogram ourselves. And so to get out of that victim mentality, or to get out of these situations that we feel like we were powerless to, it takes a lot of compassion and a tremendous amount of patience and love for ourselves to help ourselves get out of that mentality. Because once we learn to balance out that masculine, that feminine on a specific subject where we can just think about it mentally and emotionally, then can we truly integrate that into ourselves. Then can we truly accept that part of us. Because we have both the yin and the yang, we have both the masculine and feminine, the negative and the positive, and it's the duality of life. It's the two corresponding factors, and we need that in order to have polarity, in order to even basically be alive. So a lot of us need to find that inner self of who we are and really appreciate who we are. And at the end here, we have compassion, desire, fun, fulfillment, and joy. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, it's like having that compassion for yourself will help you have compassion for other people. Because other people as well, underneath that is the heart chakra. Other people as well have gone through similar circumstances or are also wounded. And coming at it from that place and that perspective is really going to help you understand that there's really nothing wrong with you. There's really nothing to worry about, but understanding that there's always room for improvement. There's always a way to better ourselves. And for the month of May, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a rough patch for some of you, but it's really ultimately going to help make you a better, stronger, more compassionate, loving person in the end of this. So just work with yourself, be patient with yourself, especially for this month. Be kind to yourself, because I feel like things are going to come up and you're going to beat yourself up for it, but really this is the time to show yourself true compassion and true love. So that's what I have for my Virgos. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Thank you. Bye.